Let's begin from here. The country's total public debt stands at 76.1 billion cedis, or 67% of GDP, up from 51.9 billion cedis in 2013. Some financial analysts say Ghana risks becoming a highly indebted poor country.
There is also some school of thought that threshold is nearer 60% than 75%. But currently there is a DSA being done as part of the program, which is being conducted in together. That's the government, the debt management department of the Ministry of Finance, together with the World Bank and the IMF. There's a DSA that is being finalized. That will give us a good idea of where we are in terms of sustainability.
Figures from the Bank of Ghana shows the country's domestic debt hit 34.6 billion cedis, equivalent to 30.5% of the country's total value of goods and services last year. This figure is up from the 26.7 billion cedis recorded in 2013 at 28.4% of the total value of goods and services recorded in 2013. While external debt stood at $13 billion, 36.6% of GDP at the end of 2014, up from $11.5 billion, that is 26.9% of GDP recorded in 2013. Critics have warned Ghana's continuous appetite for borrowing push it to soon become a highly indebted poor country.
The issue has always been, one, it's been with the government not being disciplined with fiscal or budget expenditures, always spending more than it collects. So once you spend more than you collect, then you have to finance the difference.
With an expected program from the International Monetary Fund by April, they are positive the economy will bounce back.
A lot will depend on how well we also restructure our economy to be able to take advantage of that help. We have to work hard to complement whatever help that is coming from the IMF. The IMF really, to me, has never transformed any economy in the world.
Right. So some economists there expressing divergent views as to how our debt to GDP could affect the general economy. Right. So let's make some sense of what is being discussed by the economists. Let's speak to Solomon Kote. He is the General Secretary of the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union of Ghana. He's just joined me on the phone. Grateful, Mr. Kote, for joining us. Hello, Mr. Kote.
Hello. Grateful
for you joining us.
All right.
So let's begin from here. Now, we're told that the appetite we have for borrowing could be dangerous. Let me first of all pick your reaction to that. We are simply borrowing too much.
Indeed, as Ghanaians, we are not too clear as the direction that the ruling government is actually taking us, because the national debts have also been placed in a kind of what do you call it? Let me put it this way: they are making politics with it. Up to now, we've not been told the exact figures of how much we owe and how much we are servicing, and therefore it is quite dangerous for us, because already little things that we look forward as subsidy to help us run, the average daily life has all been taken away from us. So if now we're on the road to IMF and World Bank, and we are going to suffer additional, costs on loans that we are taking, then obviously we get into a point where we'll be choked, and nobody will know what to do with himself or herself. So we'll be happy once this debate is up. The finance minister will come out clearly and tell Ghana, this is exactly how much we owe. Other than that, people in government, one is calling 56 billion, 72 billion, 28 billion, and so on and so forth. Who are they deceiving?
So your worry, Mr. Kote, your worry is that as a country, we do not know how much we owe. That's your worry.
Exactly. So when we don't know how much we owe, how can we tell how much we are servicing it? and its impact and effect on us as a people. Then want to ask how much we have taken, what were the intentions of those loans, have we been able to discharge them accordingly, can we see the benefit of those loans before we be made to be paying such loans.
Talking about benefit, government has always said that these loans are going into infrastructural projects. So government, for instance, is talking about the Kwame Nkrumah Circle Interchange, the Kaswa Circle Interchange, the Asokwa Interchange, and all these projects. So you still doubt as to what the benefits are?
No, you see, for these areas you mentioned, they are visible. Everybody is seeing it. Like we hear about the Kwame Nkrumah Circle Interchange. And I figure that is being called over $23 million. Whilst we referred immediately to Ethiopia, that has used about $68 million to construct 3 airports. As against the Kumasi one, we are told we have used so much just to construct lines. So we are thinking there's something.
And don't forget, Tamale Airport is also under construction. I'm saying that Tamale Airport is also under construction.
We are looking forward for the government to help us. We appreciate that, yes, we've taken the money, but this is where we've actually spent them. And where we are spending, if one wants to look at the cost and benefit analysis, are we deriving the exact benefit that that particular cost must intend to give to us, or what is happening?
Right. So, in terms of Labour pushing government to come clean on these issues about how much the country owes, how much we're servicing, what can Labour do? The last time Labour came together was somewhere in May last year when that massive demonstration was organized across the entire country. What can Labour do?
Well, Labour, like Radley said, we are a pressure group, and therefore, like we are doing this evening, we are affecting the conscience of people in authority to be able to come up clear and let Ghanaians know that, look, we are actually leading you into your Canaan. We are leading you into a destination that every Ghanaian will be proud. But the net effect that everybody is going through now is raising the questions that Labour is actually also sharing. Because we thought one of the heaviest burden of government is paying of public sector workers' salaries. But if now those loans are not used to service those salaries, but rather into these projects, then we are coming to a point where before we even be thinking about our salaries, we must know exactly what is being done with the money in their right proportions, and to the extent that we can be proud and say, yes, we took these loans, these are the outcomes of it.
And government has also argued that a chunk of its revenue is consumed by Labour under the single spine pay policy.
You know, we've argued it's not correct because we are hoping to see a composition of all kinds of expenditure of government, and then we'll just suppose that with that of a salary of public sector workers, and then we'll be able to have that debate very well.
Grateful to have you speak to me. Solomon Kote is the General Secretary of the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union of Ghana. And I'm giving you the opportunity to speak to me because the figures here by the Bank of Ghana is indicating that the total public debt stands at 76.1 billion cedis. That is 67% of GDP, and that's up from 51.9 billion cedis in 2013. And government says, of course, we're borrowing, but we're using it to put up infrastructure. And they have mentioned the Kumasi Airport, the Tamale Airport, the Asokwa Interchange, the Kaswa Interchange, the Circle Interchange. Public debt stands at 76.1 billion cedis. That is 67% of GDP, and that's up from 51.9 billion cedis in 2013. And government says, of course, we're borrowing, but we're using it to put up infrastructure. And they have mentioned the Kumasi Airport, the Tamale Airport, the Asokwa Interchange, the Kaswa Interchange, the Circle Interchange. Time now for you to speak to me and tell me what you think. 0302 763 450. Time now for your agenda. You're welcome back. And of course, time now for you to get to me on 0302-763-450 because the public debt stands at 76.1 billion cedis, and that is 67% of GDP. And the NPP, for instance, has been asking government to stop borrowing. Not only the NPP, but some independent economists have also asked government how much it borrows. And of course, the government says we're borrowing, but we're putting them into infrastructure projects that would pay themselves. And they've mentioned the Asokwa interchange, the Nkrumah Circle, the Kaswa interchange, the Tamale Airport, the Kumasi Airport, rehabilitation, and several other infrastructure. Talk to me, 0302-763-450. Tell me what you think about the public debt, and if indeed you see these infrastructure that the government is talking about right there being developed. And of course, if you don't see them too, you can also tell me what you think about that. 0302-763-450. Yusuf is in Tamale. He's just joined me on the phone. Yusuf, you're on air. Please go ahead.
Good evening, my brother.
Good evening, Yusuf.
You see, the president should continue to borrow. So far as he is not borrowing to award himself a golden chain, Master, come to Tamale and see the kind of infrastructure and development that is going on. So then they should stop borrowing what? Master, the president should continue to borrow for them to change Ghana and move it forward. They should give us a break. Thank you, TV3.
Yusuf, thank you too for talking to. That's your opinion. The president should continue borrowing because you in Tamale think that you have seen a lot of infrastructure there. But we're told that our total public debt stands at 76.1 billion cedis, or 67% of GDP. Now, the Institute of Economic Affairs, for instance, is warned that by 2016, our public debt could stand at 70% of our total GDP, and they think that that could be dangerous. Asamoah is in Accra. Asamoah, good evening, and you're on air. Go ahead.
Good evening, sir.
Asamoah, please go ahead.
If the government thinks borrowing will help Ghana to achieve its goals, then I'm afraid. Because the way the government is borrowing, in fact, it's bringing hardship to the Ghanaians. So can government say that he's angry, so he borrow a feed himself, but not the day. Which person is going to get money to settle the payment? In fact, you stop what he is doing. It's wrong. It's totally wrong to borrow and borrow and borrow. Thank you very much.
Grateful. Asamoah, we thank you too for sharing your opinions with that. Asamoah call from Accra. You can also go ahead and speak to me, 0302-763-450. Total public debt stands at 76.1 billion cedis, or 67% of our gross domestic product. And that's, according to government, we are borrowing to put into infrastructure. And so there are several of them they've been mentioning, the universities, the airports in Kumasi, in Tamale, and then we have the Nkrumah interchange. Amahia is from Accra. Please go ahead. You're on air.
Hello?
Please go ahead. Hello? You're on air.
Okay, please, I'm Sufyan. I said the government should borrow because we see a lot of development. Like Medina, we have some, after 10 years ago, we don't have water, but now we have water, we have everything. So the government should borrow and develop the country. Thank you.
That's what you think. Sufyan from Accra. Hope I got your name right. You said government should go ahead and borrow because you live in Medina Adenta, and for 10 years, you had no water, but now you can fetch water from your taps. Amahia, Accra, Medina Adenta. He's talking about that. You can also tell me what you think about the borrowing. Should government go ahead and borrow, or should government put a stop to borrowing? But government says that we're borrowing because we need to give Ghanaians more infrastructure. Let's go to the Ashanti region. Precisely, Kumasi. Ibrahim is on the line. Ibrahim, please go ahead. I've lost Ibrahim on the line now. 76.1 billion cedis, or 67% of GDP, is the total public debt, where it stands, 76.1 billion cedis, or 67% of GDP. That's how much we have spent. And government says, I'm borrowing because I need to work and give you better infrastructure. The IEA is insisting that by 2016, our total debt will hit 70% of the gross domestic product. Justice from Kumasi happens to be my last caller. Justice, please go ahead.
Hello, yeah, good evening.
Justice, good evening. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I think the government is borrowing too much. The reason why I'm saying this is, I don't know.
I've lost Justice too, but Justice happened to have been my last caller. Justice, you can also go onto our social media platforms and post the comments you wanted to pass right here on, but your line dropped. Sorry, Justice in Kumasi. Now we stay on the big one because we'll be talking about the police inviting the NPP to its offices because of what happened at yesterday's Wongbo demonstration, and we're wrapping up the big one. When we come back on the Echo, we'll tell you why the police invited the NPP organizers of the Wongbo demonstration and what actually went into the discussion at the police headquarters. That's it on the big one.